This video is brought to you by SENILE.
Community, I got tremendous. They agree with what I'm doing with respect to Harvard. Harvard gets 4 or 5.
What did I just listen to? That was the most incoherent thing I've ever heard. Are they going to call him out for it? All right, am I going crazy, or are there not enough people talking about the fact that our president has had maybe 4 or 5 senile moments in the past 48 hours, each one more terrifying than the last? This dude confuses countries with other countries. He confuses schools with continents. This dude is so confused that he ripped due process away from someone because he thought that a photoshopped picture was real. Either that or he's lying. Either way, it's disgusting. Let's go through some of his senile moments because the mainstream media, I feel like, isn't covering them enough. Let's start here. He gets confronted in the Oval Office, and then he proceeds to lie immediately. I love this one.
Yeah, the transition, sir. You frequently took credit for the stock market highs. You said it was a reflection of how well you were doing in the polls, and then after you were elected, you said the stock market highs were a reflection of how well the transition's going and the American people's confidence in your incoming administration. Now, the stock market's not doing so well, and you're saying that's the Biden stock market, yet you are the president. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm not taking credit or discredit.
He's not taking credit or discredit. Earlier that day, he sent out a tweet that was completely contradictory to a tweet he sent out a year ago. This dude either is a blatant narcissistic liar or is going senile. He said a year ago, this is the Trump stock market because my polls against Biden are so good, and Biden was the president. He said today, this is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. Or what about this clip of him thinking that a photoshopped picture of MS-13 on Garcia's knuckles is actually real?
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
Yeah, that was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay.
I mean, truly insane. You see a delusional president who's digging himself deeper and deeper in a hole. Andrew Egger said, truly surreal clip. Interviewer has Trump dead to rights, but is desperate to change the subject. Meanwhile, Trump refuses to let it go, insisting on continuing to punch himself in the face instead. Look at what Mehdi Hasan just said about this live.
It's funny to talk about brainwashing when the entire MAGA message is Donald Trump and Fox brainwashing people into believing insane things like the last election was stolen. Last night on American television, on ABC News, Donald Trump tried to claim that a photoshopped image of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man from Maryland, the El Salvadoran who were caught in the U.S., said could not be sent back to El Salvador. But he defied the court, the Trump administration, sent him illegally back to a torture camp in El Salvador. And Donald Trump went on live TV and 7 times, Adam, 7 times, he said that MS-13 was written on his knuckles, because this was the digitally photoshopped image that Trump was given by his aides and that they put out to right-wing media. It's a photoshopped image. Trump 7 times claimed to the audience that those numbers were really there on his hands. That is the level of delusion and gaslighting and dishonesty in this White House. I mean, every president's competent.
And let me tell you, if the delusion and the gaslighting weren't enough, check out the senility. Check out this clip of Trump being interviewed by News Nation tonight and confusing Harvard with Harlem.
Mr. President, thank you for your time. It's interesting that you brought up Harvard, because when people think about Harvard, what they're basically talking about is they're asking, what do you say to those who view your actions as an attack on academic freedom rather than a defense of fairness?
He's clearly talking about academic freedom at Harvard. The Trump administration has sent letters to multiple schools trying to get them to bend the knee, and the Trump admin is trying to place pressure on these admins to not teach things, to hire differently, to operate differently on a day-to-day basis. It's very, very weird for a presidential administration to put their thumb on the scale of what a university can teach. And by weird, I mean fascistic. Okay, back to this.
What do you say to that?
Well, I say this: we had riots in Harlem, in Harlem, and frankly, if you look at what's gone on, and people from Harlem went up and they protested, Stephen, and they protested very strongly against Harvard. They happened to be on my side. You know, I got a very high black vote. You know that. very, very high black vote. It was a very great compliment to me. I did criminal justice reform. I did opportunity zones for one of the greatest economic deals ever for the black and Hispanic community. I got tremendous. They agree with what I'm doing with respect to Harvard. Harvard gets 4 or 5.
What did I just listen to? That was the most incoherent thing I've ever heard. Are they going to call him out for it? He confused Harvard with Harlem multiple times, but then he began to kind of like vacillate between the two. And he said, you know, the school at Harvard, but then the black people in Harlem. What the hell? This is our president right now. And if I don't even know if Biden ever displayed this level of senility. Even during Biden's admittedly awful debate performance where he just could barely even speak, he still had like a coherent point if you read the transcript. Whatever Trump just did was wild. And the thing is, he's continually doing that. Listen to this.
Is Donald Trump mentally competent? Recently, he told Time magazine, Adam, that he won at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 against Trump and said you must facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They are violating the Supreme Court. They are violating lower courts. That is what they're doing in this 100 days.
Okay, Carla, is your man relying on a doctored image and falling for fake news with that picture?
Adam, I don't want to waste the time of your viewers talking about an inconsequential known gang member. I want to talk about how President Trump has brought $5 trillion of new investment into the United States. How we're making America healthy again by...
She says she doesn't want to talk about inconsequential gang members. The president, 7 times as the journalist tried to move on, insisted that the journalist concede that words were written on a hand that were not written. That's mental incompetence. He's deluded.
Well, it could just be a mistake, Mehdi. That's not a sign of like a mental fitness.
Hold on, Adam. He held up a photo that was doctored. That was bad enough a week ago. We were told, oh, he didn't mean it literally. And last night he told us he literally believes 7 times that this guy has MS-13 written on his knuckles, a guy who shouldn't even been in El Salvador, and he's defying a Supreme Court ruling that Carla doesn't want to mention.
Very well said by Mehdi Hasan. And really quickly, I've been traveling a lot for work lately. You can tell that I don't bring sunscreen because I'm incredibly burnt. But one thing that I've learned is that eSIMs are necessary. eSIMs allow you to connect to data carriers or Wi-Fi that other people would not have access to. A lot of people think you only need eSIMs for international travel, like to Europe, but I've been using it here at home a lot. If I'm away from my usual office and don't have Wi-Fi at a hotel or a conference or a rally, I usually rely on cellular data, but I blew through that plan because they offered me 2 gigs for $20. Now, SENILE gave me 5 gigabytes for $13. That's why today's video is sponsored by SENILE. They've been a lifesaver while I've been traveling, and they make these videos possible. Here's how simple it is. Step 1, you download the app. Step 2, register through the app. Step 3, pick your country, and you can use it right here in the US. Step 4, choose the amount of data you need. And step 5, at checkout, use code Mockler for 15% off. One more time, use code Mockler for 15% off. SENILE is incredibly flexible. You don't have to switch devices or have a physical SIM, and they actually tell you when you're nearing your data limit. I've used this at conferences, at rallies, out on the field. It's incredibly helpful. So download the SENILE app or click the first link in the description, senile.com/Mockler. One more time, get an exclusive 15% discount if you click the link below, senile.com/Mockler. Thank you guys, and thank you to SENILE for making this video possible.